from outer space, the Earth is blue.
This
What
blue is
blue?
blue is the color of
The
Oregon
ocean.
energy. Blue is the color of Oregon energy.
Yeah.
Positive Oregon energy.
That's great.
That's why the sky is blue. In fact, you can tell if it's deeper blue, you got a higher concentration of it. And you'll see it more deeper blue when you go around the Great Lakes. You can see it really get deep blue, and as you get away, it'll get lighter blue.
So maybe those colors are some sort of frequency things like the white clouds or...
Well, why they become white, I don't think it's necessarily because it's water vapor in the sky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's some other reason. Some other reason.
Like blue is the sky. You know, so.
The sky is blue because that's Oregon energy. And if it's a very light blue, there's a very low concentration of Oregon energy. If it's very deep blue, it's a very high concentration of Oregon energy. Positive Oregon energy.
How long, when you first made your first volume, what, just ballpark, what time of time did you actually spend making it?
Oh, I don't know. Time did it go? I would say when I first made the first one, because I was kind of discovering this.
Sure.
And it was probably like an hour.
That's exactly how much time I spent, almost exactly.
About an hour.
And results for me were almost immediate. I'll tell you guys after he finishes, but pretty amazing.
And the thing is that it's
We're looking at the 100th monkey theory here. We're just going to explode
Well,
exponentially.
what I think's happening too is that when you create this, you tie a lot of stuff together, you know, because hopefully within the volume, you know, there's organite pounding things along, and it kind of ties it together. It integrates you with the environment, with all of this activity, so that's, and it's not in the etheric realm. Remember, this is all etheric. But the thing about it is that you can see it in your mind's eye. You can see it there. Nobody else can. You can. I can. Whenever I see the volume, I can see it. This is the one. It's the perimeter of my volume right there. They're my energy balls sitting in the fountain. There's only half of them there today, and you can actually see them. Anything else that I can help you with, or any other questions you have?
We're just about out of tape, so...
Good. We filled the whole thing up.
Okay. This is for Alan, everybody. Hey, Al. As I just told the group, I created a volume 2 days after I talked to Robert in the form of a cylinder. I spent about an hour doing it with my eyes closed, and when I opened my eyes, the Cloudbuster was working like gangbusters, better than it had since it was new. It knocked a big, huge blue hole above. A couple days later, we had quite a bit of heavy spray, and I could actually see the outline of the cylinder, including the sides, the walls. You know, it was actually cutting into the DOR, so not only did I have the blue hole, I had the cylinder on the side. It was a little smaller than I had envisioned it, so I went back and just increased the radius. A couple, 3 days later, I was able to see the sides again, and they had extended out, but they weren't as definite as the smaller size one, which leads me to think that what Robert's saying is right. When you're in an area of high density, especially a lot of people, you're going to have to work harder to extend the radius.
Well, what'll happen is the original size volume will weaken because of the fact that you're now treating a large volume of space.
Right.
But then the synergy will come in and it'll ramp back up again into
Right.
that bigger volume. And then once you've got that volume established, and extend it some more, and then it'll weaken a little bit, and then keep going if you
Right.
can, you know, as far as you want.
I'm thinking if all of us, or even a majority of us, can do this, though, and we can reinforce each other's areas as well. I mean, it'd be easy for anybody to email somebody else a Google map of their area with a circle on it, and you could keep that in mind as well. So when you're working on your own volume, you could create, help other folks. Now, one thing I tried, just based on your suggestions, and I think this is beneficial, I put out a call for any people who may not be consciously tapped into this, but would subconsciously be interested if they knew what was going on. Any people in this area to also contribute in terms of creating the balls, to reinforcing the area, and extended it to any benevolent entities as well. But we all know there's a lot of folks who would be way into this if they were just a little more awake. So I've been appealing to those people on a subconscious level within my area.
And that's the creativity, you know. You all you can use this for anything that you want.
You mentioned creating virtual etheric CBs,
Yeah.
HHGs.
Yeah, you can create I would imagine that some guy that you knew in Georgia, he said, you know, why don't you just create an etheric cloudbuster? You know, build it in your mind. And I was like, well, that's cool, you know. And I get to do that, but I'm going to give it a try. And I think what happens is that it's more of an etheric action, and I'm going to try it out and see actually how it will work. Because I'm going to build an etheric CB at my point of origin, see what happens.
If I may volunteer, I have been gathering computer weather satellite shots, and I have dozens. If I may have the permission to email all you guys. I have it all on one site with just clickable links.
Yeah.
And along with your map dowsing, we can do nation and worldwide satellite etheric work.
Right.
Here's
And
a,
I've got a gazillion sites.
here's a suggestion too for all you dowsers. When you do dowsing, what I found is really helpful is that if you can actually first connect when you in the dowsing session, you establish a session and you connect to a consciousness of whatever you're trying to douse. Like say you're trying to douse on a map, you know, in an area of land. You know, what I do is I actually say I want to connect to the consciousness that's controlling that land. So I'll connect to the consciousness. Now you have something to work with, and then it's actually, I find it's better dowsing. So if you want to connect with you know, an object or something like that, you want to get information from it, it has a everything has a consciousness. That's the only thing you have to realize. So if you can connect with it first, I find I get much better dowsing. And then the thing I always want to try to remember is unconnect from it when you're done.
And say thank you.
And you close, and just thank you, unconnect from it, and close the dowsing session. A tidbit of information.
I like that.
Okay, any other questions?
I don't think there was anything else you told me about.
That was a wild day, huh?
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff was coming at
That's
you.
great. Well, you know, the exercises were good too. I mean, that might be something you could just throw in, Tibetan rites. I mean, in terms of keeping yourself clear and stuff, I just started on those again. And I think the Great Palm's been doing them for a long time.
Yeah, what I do is to stay clear is I do the 5 Tibetan rites daily. And I have these Qigong exercises I learned, because I recently took a remote viewing workshop from some guy in San Diego. And we do these, to boost up our energy, we
Is
do
that
these
Fred?
Qigong exercises, yeah, Fred. And then I do DB's Golden Globe clearing, that works really good. And I'm good to go. Do grounding.
He sent me the PDF on those, the 5 exercises. They're actually fairly simple, and there's just 5 of them. So if anybody wants them, I can send the PDF files to you guys.
Oh, and I just bought a
Yeah.
rebounder through the mail the other day. There's a place on the East Coast that run by the nicest guy that'll just chat with you on the phone if you call him up. And for less than $100, you can get a brand new, nice rebounder. Or go to a thrift store, get one for $5.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess,
You know, have you thrown a handful of ash in that pool? You might consider that. You know, I've been putting it in fountains.
it has to wait till this last wind that came through, they have to clean that fountain out.
Do a bunch of
So
stuff.
once they clean it out,
Yeah. You know, I've been putting ash in fountains everywhere because it
it's
just
just,
needs
I've been
recycling.
developing more clumsy habits also.
I put a TV in that, I put a TV in that fountain and the next day it was gone.
Really?
Oh.
Well, the guys come and clean it.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's why.
Poor clumsy Rick, you're just getting better.
I've always been a klutz with it. Well,
Oh.
cool. Maybe we can just do a, you know, informal Q&A or
Yeah,
Oregon show and tell or.
what I would recommend is that, just use your imagination with this idea. It's just an idea that I have, it's not my idea, it's just an idea. Because people are very creative. And like what you did with trying to connect with consciousness within the volume itself, that's kind of cool.
That wouldn't make sense. But
Yeah, and each of you has probably your own ideas as to how you want stuff done.
I like your clarity of focus, the way you just work through stuff. That's so
So
good.
after I went home, my head was buzzing. I probably couldn't have done the work the first day afterwards anyway, because I was trying to read the notes and sort it out. But,
Mhm. So you get the gist of it, and one of the things I want to leave is you can't mess it up. You know, one of the problems that people have is, when they do the mental scans, I'm not getting anything. I don't see anything. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You see it, but you don't. You're not aware of it, but you are seeing it. And so don't worry about it. Don't even worry about, oh, am I looking up 5 miles or whatever? Don't even worry about it. You are doing it. You can't mess it up. And you'll see that over time, it will come in. You'll still get the information. You may not see it in pictures. You may get it in feelings. Some people don't operate in the visual realm. They actually are more of a feeling type of person. So
That's neat.
I wouldn't worry about it. Just do it, and it'll happen.
There was a post on, I think it was on the board maybe a couple weeks ago, and I don't know who it was, that this lady had her holes, her copper pipes stolen out of her.
Oh, yeah.
filibuster.
Yeah.
And then somebody came a couple days later and it just stole the base. Was that on your board?
I think
I
somebody,
read that
stole-
same post,
somebody
and she
stole-
just started
Somebody
using her
stole
middle
the
one.
base,
Yeah.
and so she said, well, what am I gonna do? And it totally, completely connects in with, what you're talking about. But what she did is she used basically the earth as a source, which of course Earth is a source anyways, and the trees and the light poles and everything as a source of energy to, basically, that was her chemtrail buster. And she said it even worked better than what she.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same, kind of the same idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Organic or gone?
Yeah. Environmental. No synthetics there, right?
Yeah, really.
If I may stick in a comment to go along with what you're doing with your energy balls,
Yeah.
I kind of have decided that I'll fry the electronics and I'll disrupt the organics.
Yeah.
Because I'm not out to kill people. Boy, I sure want to go mess them up.
Well, what happens though, you don't ever want to have that mindset. What you want to have the mindset is, it's very difficult because, I want to get those people. That's what people think. I want to get back at
Yeah.
them. I want to actually do that. I wish that plane would
No,
crash.
I
No, that's not the way to
There
go.
might not even be people flying the planes.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what their mentality is. When
They're
they do
gonna have
that,
to
guess
go
where the
ahead.
energy goes? Right here. If you get your energy down, then anger is bad. What you want to have the mindset is, hey, these people need help.
Right.
Energy comes right up here. You want to help them as much as you can. And that's the mindset you want to have.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
when
love
you're,
messing
when you're,
up.
when you're programmed to send 3 energy balls at, say for instance, a plane or whoever's
It's to
flying
help them.
to help them.
Right, it's to help them because it's love energy. Just like, see, what happens is that when you have that soul connection, you can channel that energy, love energy, and that's what was put in those balls. So when you detonate them, it just, it releases that energy into
Lots of
their,
operator
into
key.
their,
which might not be pleasant for them, but that's not necessarily your goal. I mean, in other words.
well, they need help,
Yeah, right.
But
But it may not be a
They
pleasant
need help,
experience
I
for
love
them.
it.
it's
That's
like when
great.
you detox. When
They
you
need
detox,
help.
you probably go through kind of a hellish time too, but for it's your own benefit, right?
I like that, they need help.
Then you know, exactly. When you have that mindset, your energy comes right up here. It stays right there.
Why do you think people just can't see something weird in the sky? I mean, it's like, I walk outside and I go, oh my God, look at that. But
It's
nobody
because
looks.
it's an awareness. Somehow it's their mind control and they're suppressed. They're working on problems. They're so wrapped up into what they're trying. They just cannot. They don't care, but they don't know they don't care. That's the problem. They
Yeah.
don't know they don't care. And what happens? I remember one time, my brother and I were looking up at the sky. We look up at the sky all the time, blow the trails away. We blow them away. And the guy next door, he was a postal man. He comes and, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're blowing the trails in the sky. He kind of was accepting, and his mindset was, well, I guess you guys are working on it. You guys are on it. I don't have to worry about it. It's like, that's wrong.
Yeah, thanks. It's like,
But
is it-
we just said, well, you know, if you can help out, you know.
Robert, you mentioned at the beginning that you're going to talk a little bit about chemtrails themselves.
Say again.
You mentioned at the beginning, I think you said that you're going to talk a little bit about chemtrails and what you think that is going on.
Yeah, what I think is that, you know, when you blow a trail away with your mind, the best thing to do is to get the trail and focus on it right when it comes out of the plane. The sooner you can get on the trail, the easier it is to get rid of it. If a trail has been sitting there for a while and starts to spread, it's hard to get rid of it. But if you can get on it very quickly, and you know, the mix is different too. Some kind of trails are easier to get rid of than others. You know, some of them have this really, it seems like it's like a powder in it. Those are really hard to do. But you can do it. What I recently tried is this. You know, it was actually, I think it was yesterday that I tried it. Very effective. Because yesterday the skies here were beautiful, but they were still trying to spray in them.
Yeah.
And this plane had a trail going on. And I was walking down the street and I said, oh, there it is. So I got on it. But so something told me, focus on the tank. It's in the plane. Focus on the tank. So I focused on the tank. And I envisioned, okay, the liquid in the tank, half of it is pink and half of it is blue energy. Pink energy, blue energy. And I envisioned that coming out the spray nozzles. The whole trail went away. Holy crap, that was fast. It was incredible. And a guy could not spray anymore. It worked great.
Wow.
So I'm trying that now from now on, is to, you know, just try and, you know, change the theorics in that tank to whatever it is into what I want it to be, and it comes out. But what's cool about it, it blew the trail away.
Oh, there you go. That's transform and transmute.
It just like, and I was shocked. It's like, wow, that was easy. Normally I have to scan it and scan it and scan it and reduce it down, and there's always like a lingering amount left over.
Yeah.
When you do this, it will get their attention. They'll come over your house a few days.
Well, what they do is that they'll hammer you to death. They'll just pound. I mean, Erie, Pennsylvania is not a big place. And, you know, they have hundreds and hundreds of planes, hundreds, pounding your sky is incredible. And my brother would say, well, at least they're doing it here. We're taking resources from some other place. And at least we can deal with it here because we have all this arsenal in place. So,
When you build a formation, are there any evil entities to deal with?
I was toying with that as to how to deal with that. You know, because it's a free will kind of type deal you're dealing with. You know, it's if they're doing something bad, that's one thing. If they're just there, it's another. So I'm trying to, you know, my mind deal with how, you know, what happens if they create a door, some kind of a door, because of their activity, it's going to be transmitted. But if they're there, because there's reptilians living in Pasadena, there's all kinds of bad crap there. I'm sure in any place around here. But you know, it's one of these things where if you have a neighborhood and you start deploying Organite in the neighborhood, gridding the area, or you put like my brother has, I mean, I designed him a beautiful cobble street, it's monstrous. People start moving out. Lots.
Cool.
And the neighborhood, just everything gets fixed. It's incredible how that works. I remember I'm close to the beach because everybody was close. Erie is actually right on the Lake Erie, and there's a lot of cottages along the lake shore, and junky, you know, old. And I used to go down to this one place because the road would go down, and I would just stand there and watch the sunset, you know. So I I threw a couple of etheric pipe bombs in the lake. One over there, one over there. Deployed some Morganite along the hillside. And then I was out here for a while and then went back there. I went back, not even in a year. Everybody fixed up their places except one. And two of the places, they demolished the old buildings and built new ones. Beautiful places. And it was like, wow, that was fast. The water was crystal clear. It was like, wow, this is incredible. One of the things I noticed too is that this Presque Isle is a peninsula that goes out as a tourist thing. And it has a trail that goes around it. You can walk it, you can run it. People run their bicycles on it, and you can drive your car around. It's like a 14-mile trip around this thing. There used to be mosquitoes, poison ivy. I mean, it was just a crappy place. You know, it didn't get used that much because it was, you know, you had to spray yourself with bug spray in it. Ever since I deployed Orgonite in there, and we put the cloudbusters in my brother's property, it's like, there aren't any mosquitoes. Ants go away. The ants just aren't there anymore. It's somehow if you take the door away, they don't come. All of the bay, there's a bay, this peninsula comes around and actually creates a bay. And the bay was always stinky with dead fish. Seaweed was growing in it. It was just yuck. It was crystal clear. No smell. The fishing is coming back. My brother says, these fishermen, for a long time Erie was known, the sports fishermen used to come there, and I mean, they had tournaments and everything, and it was so crappy for about decades. Especially the last 10 years that, you know, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, now it's all coming back. The whole economy is starting to come back up in that town. Just from the sportsmen fishermen. He says there are species of fish that are coming back that haven't been in there for ages. Cool.
So, do they notice this? Does anybody notice
We notice it.
No, you notice it. Because
Well,
you're the one, you're
They
the
probably
architect.
they probably don't know why.
But do they talk about it? Is it in the
The
media?
fishermen do.
Fishermen, okay, but the media is very silent about it.
Well, I don't know if they. I don't watch the media that much. Neither
Well,
do my
neither
brother.
do I, but it's just like here, because we
Yeah.
used to have smog alerts. And when I first moved here, every summer it was like, oh, good God, you know, smog alert in this area. People of a certain, you know, have a certain, like, asthma or whatever, can't go out. When was the last time I don't remember, the last time we had a smog alert here. But yet nobody says anything about it. You know, it's like anybody's lived here long enough remembers those.
Oh, I remember that, smog alerts, yeah.
All the time. I mean, I used to have problems breathing. I mean, you could actually see the sky. I couldn't see the mountains in the summer. People who moved here in the summer, come the winter, and they go, I didn't know we had mountains over there.
Yeah.
Well, you'd expect it to be a lot worse since they've been spraying for 5 or 6 years.
Right. But it's
I think,
gone.
you know,
We
the
hardly
organized
have any
response
smog
is
here, and nobody ever comments about it. No one. The media doesn't say anything about it.
No.
Does that have something to do with the unleaded gas?
This is something that I've learned to do. Actually, I learned this. Ever read the Mars Records? www.marsrecords.com.
I printed all that out. It's about like this.
Yeah, it's thick.
I've got it all.
Okay, well, I kind of learned this from that, and it was very helpful. You know, if you have on your person, you'll sometimes, you know, have an itch somewhere. You'll discover an implant somewhere or whatever. If you have an itch, I had a persistent problem with my nose, rash all the time, and it was fairly recent. And what I discovered was the reason why that was there is there was a cord attached to my nose. And what happens is the energy flow was so great that it caused this irritation to occur. So what I did was, once I realized that's what it was, and I read the Mars Records, I said, what they recommend in there is, and I also confirmed this myself, is that, okay, now I have a cord attached to me, and you know it's you and there's something at the other end, okay? So you want to find out, okay, what's at the other end of that cord? So what I do is I hail it. You say, hello, hello, and, you know, because you have a link, it has a very strong link to you because it's corded to you. What it was a radionics machine. at the other end. And you can actually figure out where it is at if you want to ask them, well, where are you? You know, what's your name? And I was actually conversing with this radionics machine. And so what you want to do is, when you find something that's attached to you, there's a consciousness to everything. Even the core that's attached to you has a consciousness. It may be an extension of that machine or whatever, its consciousness, its own consciousness. And that's why you can converse with it. And it cannot refuse you unless it's trying to block. So here's a hint. If you are trying to hail something, this happens more with, if it had cords attached to me from people or reptilians, once they get wind of it, they'll turn their head, you know, or they'll shield themselves so they can't see them, or they won't answer you. So what you do is you just say, well, okay, what's around you? Oh, there's a chair. Chair? Who is this guy? And you get the answer. All of a sudden, you know, he can't hide from you anymore. You got the name. What are you doing? And if he's elusive, lamp? I see a lamp. Lamp? Why is he doing this? You know, so you get this idea. Then what you want to do is you want to work out with them first. Give them a chance. You're doing not a good thing, and I don't appreciate it. And you realize that, you know, you have a spirit component to you that's doing this. So as a spirit, I want to read you your rights. And I'm going to have you make a decision. So what you do is, and this is scripted in the Mars record, this is how you do it. You say, today's date is January, what's the date, 6th? 7th, 2006. Today's date is this. Your rights as a spirit are, number 1, as a spirit, you have the right to your own self-determinism. So I'll give you time to write that down. You have the right to your own self-determinism. Number 2, you have the right to your own sanity. As a spirit, you have the right to your own sanity. Number 3, you have the right to leave the game. As a spirit, you have the right to leave the game. And you've told them before that, you know, this is a game. And you're playing a game, and I don't appreciate this game you're playing. Number 4, you have the right to choose a game or not choose a game. And you have the right to play the game or not play the game. Not the game, but a game. You have the right